Welcome back to This Explainer. Today, we're diving deep into the science of life extension, and we're using the powerful framework of Medicine 3.0 to do it. Now, if you're already familiar with the biology of aging, you know that Medicine 3.0 is all about shifting away from reactive treatments. We're moving toward proactive, personalized, and totally data-driven health span optimization. It's about taking a true, honest risk assessment of how we actually live. And today, we're going to uncover how optimizing just one highly specific nutrient could literally change the entire trajectory of your aging process.
All right, here's our roadmap for today. We're going to cover worse than smoking, the omega-3 breakdown, the omega-3 index biomarker, 5 extra years of life, and finally, sourcing your omega-3. Let's get right into it. Section 1, worse than smoking? Let's kick things off with a completely unvarnished look at our daily habits and longevity.
I want to hook you instantly by asking this really provocative question. Could a simple nutrient deficiency actually be as deadly as smoking cigarettes? I mean, it sounds absolutely impossible, right? We all know smoking is just catastrophic for your cardiovascular system and your life expectancy. But preventative cardiometabolic science is now pointing to a nutritional gap that rivals that exact same mortality risk. The Framingham data out of the Fatty Acid Research Institute reveals something truly jaw-dropping. When researchers mapped out the life expectancy curves, they found that non-smokers who are deficient in omega-3 have the exact same mortality risk as smokers who have optimized their omega-3 levels. Let that sink in for a second. Not getting enough omega-3 is literally equivalent to smoking in terms of your overall life expectancy. In the landscape of age-related disease, we know that being completely sedentary is essentially a disease in itself, right? It rapidly accelerates early mortality. And we know smoking destroys the heart, but the data unequivocally places having a critically low omega-3 index right on that same terrifying pedestal of equivalent mortality risks. Section 2, the omega-3 breakdown. Let's look at the underlying biology here. So the crucial point to understand is that omega-3s are essential fatty acids. And the word essential in nutritional biochemistry means our bodies physically cannot produce these molecules on their own. We absolutely must actively source them from our environment just to survive. They're critical building blocks for cellular health, they maintain the structural integrity of your brain, and they modulate your body's entire inflammatory response. But here's the catch. Not all omega-3s are created equal. Marine sources provide EPA and DHA. These are the highly effective heavy lifters for your brain and heart health. Plant sources, on the other hand, provide ALA. Now, while ALA is healthy, it has a significantly less optimal conversion rate in the human body. So to trigger those serious longevity benefits, we really have to look to the marine sources. This brings us to a huge core principle of geroscience. Omega-3 specifically blunts and resolves inflammation. Why does that matter to us? Well, because neuroinflammation is a foundational root cause of both physical brain aging and depressive symptoms. In fact, studies show that if you induce inflammation on the human body, it literally triggers depression. But if you introduce marine omega-3 fatty acids like EPA, it actually blunts those depressive symptoms by resolving that underlying inflammation. It's basically a highly specialized shield for your brain. Section 3. The omega-3 index biomarker. Medicine 3.0 relies on precise data, right? Not dietary guesswork. So to measure this accurately, we use the omega-3 index. Now, this isn't a standard plasma test. This actually tests your red blood cells. And because red blood cells live for exactly 120 days, this gives us a true long-term picture of your sustained health. It completely strips away the noise of, say, whatever you might have eaten for dinner yesterday. The numbers tell a really revealing story. A high-risk index is 4% or lower, while your optimal longevity target is 8% or higher. But the US average? It's languishing dangerously low at just 5%, which, honestly, is probably unsurprising given the standard modern diet. For a little context, over in Japan, where seafood intake is much higher, their average hovers around 10%, and that correlates beautifully with their globally recognized life expectancies. Section 4. 5 extra years of life. Let's talk about the massive longevity payoff waiting for you. Check out this staggering finding from a Harvard University study. It places low marine omega-3 intake right alongside high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, and smoking as a premier threat to human life. It is literally classified as one of the top 6 preventable causes of death. Think about that. So the huge message of hope you should take away from this is that by just managing this one biomarker, by simply moving from a low omega-3 index to a high one of 8% or more,
Large-scale cohort data shows a direct correlation to an incredible 5-year increase in your overall life expectancy. That is half a decade of Healthspan just handed back to you. And this right here is exactly why this index is considered the holy grail of preventing aging-related diseases. Beyond those 5 extra years, hitting that 8% mark correlates with a massive 90% lower risk of sudden cardiac death. Large clinical trials also show a 25% reduction in cardiovascular events, like heart attacks. Cognitively, it resolves the inflammation that causes depression, and physically protects against the brain atrophy that ruins our later years. It's just phenomenal. Section 5. Sourcing your omega-3. Let's talk actionable participatory medicine. How can you actually get these life-saving fatty acids right now? Well, you have clear, totally accessible options. You can hit your optimal biomarker levels through your diet by regularly eating fatty marine fish, like wild-caught salmon. Or if you aren't a huge fan of seafood, you can use high-quality supplements like a purified fish oil or a marine microalgae oil. The key is just securing those marine-based EPA and DHA components consistently to push your red blood cells up to that 8% index. You don't have to obsess over complex dosing math. Just focus on securing a high-quality source. So are you ready to design your longevity? The power is completely in your hands to apply this Medicine 3.0 approach to your own life today. You've got the data, you understand the biomarkers, and you definitely know the stakes. But optimizing your health span obviously doesn't stop with just one nutrient. True longevity is a holistic, ongoing design process. To get the specific protocols on using omega-3s and to stay at the absolute cutting edge of human longevity science, you need to take action. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, Future Health Now 360. Go follow my Facebook page, Design for Longevity, and register for my course, Human Design for Longevity. I'll leave you with this final thought. If you knew a simple, daily habit could give you 5 more years of healthy, vibrant life, when you start today,